Greg Coquillo, and he's going to talk to us about a dance between KPIs and metrics. We're going to find out if he's actually going to do a dance. I have not asked him yet. I see him laughing backstage. This is going to be awesome. I hope you're prepared to dance, Greg. So here's his intro here. Since the beginning of his career, Greg has integrated resources such as data, machines, materials, energy, and people with efficient systems to optimize products and services. As a technology manager at Amazon, he builds AI products from the ground up to accelerate the growth of key business metrics for a multi-billion-dollar portfolio. Outside of his day job, he often is seen on LinkedIn sharing best practices for effective collaboration between data science and business teams, and believes they increase the chances of launching successful AI projects. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring Greg up on our stage so he can do his dance. Look, everybody wants you to dance. Look, Scott says.
I wish there were kind of dances to the presentation, but it gets even worse. I don't have a slides. I don't have dances. It's just I wanted to illustrate how they need each other to work in this business world. But
All
thank you
right,
for
well,
having me here, Kate. I'm super happy to be here and to talk to the audience.
absolutely. I'll let you get on with your interpretive dance about KPIs. All right, I'm gonna hop off. I'll see you in 10 minutes.
Sounds good. I'll start to go ahead with this quote. Um, it goes like this: I will lose 25 pounds over the next 6 months. I will do so by exercising for an hour, in turn, burn X amount of calories per day, and also I will eat to consume no more than 2,000 calories per day. Now, in this quote, if you're able to make a distinction between what could be a KPI versus what could be metrics, you've successfully entered the dance between KPIs and metrics. So let's dig into this a little bit. What are KPIs? They're quantifiable measure of performance over a specific objective. They provide targets for teams to shoot for, milestones to gauge progress, insights that help people across the organization make better decisions. And by the way, you can also search this one. QLick is one of my best resources for that as well. They express it so well that I'm just kind of reiterating here for you guys. Whether it's finance, HR, marketing, sales, they all have KPIs. They help every area of the business move forward to the business at the strategic level. So, in other words, KPIs they make the most impact at the strategic level. An example of this could say acquiring 10% net new customer by the end of the year to gain X amount of market share. Now, KPIs are lagging indicators. This simply means that the measurement doesn't become apparent until a certain shift happened at some point in time. You only measure it at the end of the goal, timeline goal that you set. Now, metrics on the other hand, let's go through the definition of what a metric is. They measure the success of everyday activities that support the KPIs. While they impact outcomes, they're not the most critical ones for to go after. They're used to track, monitor, assess the failure or success of various business processes. They can be used to communicate a company's progression towards certain long-term and short-term objectives. It's often up to key stakeholders in the business as to which metrics to select. However, it's a very difficult process. Now, lately, they've been getting assistance from data and science to select the right metrics engineered to more effectively reach these long term strategic goals. A simple example one that I can take is the number of website visits per month on your platform. There are different reasons why you want to use KPIs as a business stakeholder. Now, trying to explore that world a little bit more. You want to use it to monitor company health, measure progress, analyze patterns over time, make adjustments on and stay on track on these adjustments, solving problems, tackle new opportunities, communicate status. You want to report actual versus target, uh, driving improvements by fact versus guessworking, help prioritizing improvement activities, and also connecting the customers to your processes. And there are a couple characteristics as well to KPIs. They're dynamic. It should be well managed. You should be only be able to select a few. They're owned and operated by local teams most of the time. Each department may have their own KPIs. They're simple and easy to update. Great visuals they should have. They're located where everybody could see, and the changes in the KPI should jump on the eyes. Think about all the nice dashboards we can use KPIs for to build. They're engaging, very relevant, create talking points across departments. They have a standard format, easy for outsiders to understand as well. And then the feedback generated because of these KPIs are well recorded, and the actions are also recorded. Couple business KPIs, as you, the data science community, have heard before. I mean, they're all over the place, very common. Whether it's the all the performances around sales, safety, quality, delivery, and people. They're very the common ones that your business stakeholders may need help with. They can also be used to build smart goals, very big goals for institutions and companies. Smart meaning being specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. A couple of them that actually changed the world. One that I can cite is John F. Kennedy back in 1962, when he mentioned sending a man to and back to the moon and back within the next 10 years. That was a very ambitious goal, which is a mighty KPI to set for an institution. Another one, state of New York, set to reach out a net zero carbon emission by 2050, or even the climate pledge, making that a target, or pledging to reach that target 10 years prior in 2040. Now, let me go through a quick process of how to create and manage KPIs. This might sound a little familiar to some folks in the data science world. Now, it starts like this. You, of course, identify the problem and the opportunity, determine the performance drivers. Then you get your team together, you define local performance indicators, you score those, prioritize, and select your key performance indicators. Now you identify all your owners and users for these KPIs, develop the format and review process for these KPIs. You train all the users, you collect data around it so you can make sure you can start tracking. You create an improvement plan, and you form an improvement team as well, who will go after the artifacts that affect these KPIs. And then you monitor progress to plan, and you take corrective actions when need be. Now, I spent all this time talking about KPIs, but guess what? They actually mean nothing without the discovery of the appropriate metrics that announce their arrival. You're well placed right now in the working world to come up with a suite of data science projects or any other projects that will act on these metrics, which in turn will help you better control or even forecast KPIs with great accuracy. Let's explore manufacturing sites, for example, that sets a quality performance as a KPI. They're most likely going to select defect rate, mean time between failure, machine downtime, customer reviews as metrics to track to make sure that they hit their quality KPIs. Or a retailer that sets out to be the number one seller of baby products by volume and quality by 2023, for example, as a KPI. They might select a number of store visits or website visits, number of products purchased by customer, customer conversion rates, customer acquisition cost, cost of goods sold. Those are all good metrics that they can go out and try. And these metrics are the backbone BI, data driven teams to select key projects to go after, to drive the metrics in the right place, and in turn make these KPIs move in the right directions or expected directions. Remember also, there are uncontrollable forces that may introduce new metrics for you to track and measure against your KPIs. Um, so you want to see how they're affected by these introductions. So you can imagine how a number of metrics were introduced because of COVID-19, for example, how it affected the world's business KPIs. Now, to end this, really, I'd like to say that KPIs are simply metrics, but not all metrics are KPIs. The right metrics are able to support expected outcomes from the goals that you set with these KPIs. And I'd like to leave you with a quote by John F. Kennedy. So I will go ahead and read that for you. Uh, I like this one because it's an ambitious goal. So we chose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they're easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win, and the others too. Now, I want you to remember, you're here to enable these companies when they select these big goals. You're here to help them reach these ambitious goals. Make sure you ask your stakeholders, what are the KPIs that matter the most to them and why? And also offer your assistance in discovering the right metrics that you will leverage throughout your projects that will make these KPIs dance to the sound of your data driven beats. Thank you.
Awesome, Greg. Thank you so much for that amazing presentation. We do have several questions that came in, but first, that end quote. I think I just heard it probably yesterday. I was watching the countdown on Netflix. Not sure if you've seen it or anyone in the audience. It's all about four civilians going into space. Inspiration four, and I think they actually used that quote as part of the show. Definitely like a deja vu moment for me when you read that one out loud. I'll start
Nice.
with a question that I had for you, and then we'll go to a couple from the audience. For KPIs, how often do you think we should be looking at our KPIs or refreshing those the KPIs that we're tracking? I guess.
It depends. Typically, on a quarterly basis, it's probably a good rhythm. Say you're not going to look at revenue goals every month and uh, s- know whether you need to take action or not. But if you
Yeah.
look at it quarterly, you'll set a better tone for that. Now, you can look at other metrics that can affect revenue, like
Mhm.
on average, if your the daily products ordered by customer goes down on a daily basis, that's an announcement that your revenue will not be met by the end of the quarter, for example. So it's
Right.
probably best to increase the frequency of checking the metrics that affect your KPIs versus focusing on that KPI itself.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. I love this question here from David. What would be a good KPI for an event like the DataCated Expo?
I would say number of engagements for a good KPI. Well, if you think about this, I would say uh, conversion rate could be a very good KPI for that.
Mhm.
And the metric to track that is how many attended, right? So how many attended, how many engaged could be a good metric for that. So conversion rate would be my selection here.
Awesome. Thank you. And we'll take one last question here from Mike. He's asking if you can tie metrics and KPIs to real time ROI.
Um, yeah, absolutely. So if I understand the question well, uh, is the question about should you tie metrics and KPIs to real time ROI,
I
or
think it's can you? Are we
can you?
able to?
It
Yeah.
should, right? It should, right? So most of businesses, they select these KPIs uh, to be competitive, right?
Yeah.
So typically, when they select these KPIs, it's because they know they evolve in a market where there's another company doing the same thing as them. So maybe their KPI may be reach 51% market share this year, which is a plus 6% versus last year.
Right.
So in other words, that's tied into some sort of return on investment, right? So in other words, you set that KPI, you go after the metrics, then you go after the projects, the right investments that you need to make to go after that additional market share. Maybe you need to invest in some sort of recommendation system for your website for customers to stay a little bit longer and buy more products
Yeah.
on your site, so you can go after that KPI, that additional market share. So absolutely, it should be tied to those ROIs.
Awesome. Well, Greg, thank you so much. I know we have a few disappointed people that you did not provide a dance with your talk here.
So sorry, but I'm happy I was here to talk to you guys, and hopefully, uh, you
Yes.
found something positive in the conversation.
Yes, the content definitely helped a lot. We're missing the dance, but maybe next time. Greg, thank you so much for your time here today.